Hey church, and welcome to this week's small group. Now, this last Sunday we asked the question, how are believers supposed to be different? We came to the conclusion that God commands that we be defined by love. Mostly love is defined in our culture today as just a feeling. But the question that I always have is, what happens when the feeling runs out? Is love more than a feeling? Isn't there a song? More than a feeling, right? So we're going to start out this small group with a very simple yet very profound question. How would you define love? Let's dive a little bit deeper into that one. How do the people you love know that you love them? And how do words, feelings, and actions all contribute to the expression of love? Today, we will talk about a deeper kind of love than the world is accustomed to. I want you to read 1 John chapter 3, verses 10 through 13. And I want someone from the group to tell the story of Cain and Abel, which is found in Genesis chapter 4, in their own words. What does John want us to see in that story? And when do you find it to be challenging to love someone? What John wanted us to see in the story of Cain and Abel is that God's kind of love is not something that we could conjure up on our own. Loving others like Christ loved us is a feat that can only be done by supernatural power. You see, we were enemies of Jesus when He died for us. Maybe you're familiar with the scripture that says, while we were still yet sinners, Christ died for us. We were His enemies when He died for us. You see, the world is marked by hate. But does that mean all the world can do is hate? Why or why not? And how does the world's love differ and fall short of God's love? You see, the world is capable of loving other people that are similar to them, that agree with them. The problem is when it comes to loving enemies. Corrie ten Boom was a Dutch watchmaker and a Christian who, along with her father and other family members, helped many Jews escape the Nazi Holocaust during World War II by hiding them in her closet. The end of the story is that one of them sold her out and she was imprisoned for her actions. And here's a quote from Corrie ten Boom. When God tells us to love our enemies, He gives us, along with the command, the love itself. Wow. God challenged her to love the people who imprisoned and tortured her. Read 1 John chapter 3, verses 14 through 15. And also turn over to Matthew chapter 5, verses 20 through 22. How have you seen supernatural love played out in your own life since becoming a believer in Jesus? And how did the Pharisees and the scribes live out the letter of the law, but failed to live out the spirit of the law? And after experiencing the love of God, how does it change the way that we think about loving others? Next, I want to roll into our advanced question this week. And remember, an advanced question is something that if you don't know, or if your small group isn't sure of, you can just skip over it. How is the Christian view of God as Trinity foundational to understanding that God is love? It's kind of a mind bender there. And in what ways is love foundational to our witness of Jesus Christ in this world? I'll be honest, I've tried to share Jesus with people without love, and people tend to see just right through it. It's not about winning an argument or convincing them that you're right. I once heard a very wise youth pastor say this: they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Read 1 John chapter 3, verses 16 through 18. What are some things that might prevent us from showing God's love to others? Why must the way of love be marked by action? And what are some ways you can act in love for the benefit of your community? Next, I want you to close in prayer. Ask God to give us the kind of love that leads into action. And remember, God commands that we be defined by love. God bless you. Have a great rest of your small group, and we'll see you on Sunday.